second, but it is actually speechless. There's 2 winners. I mean, they're all winners to me in my own brain, but we're going to be going into the semifinals of the lower bracket here. The queue has popped, and it is going to be on Ruins of Lordaeron, and right away, we just get the 2 main compositions of both these teams. We have the Turbo Cleave for Speechless, which is an arms warrior from Blizzo, Jamie on the Enhancement Shaman, and Looney, aka Kiba, on that Restoration Druid. And Kenitra Tigers, they're going to be running the Rogue Mage Druid composition again, but Suichi, he's actually going to be running sub. It's his main spec. He's going to stick to his guns, and the Frost Mage for No Lifer, of course, and Stokanov, aka Chaz, on that Restoration Druid. And Suichi, I mean, I definitely respect that he is going that main spec. He is a sub rogue through and through, but I definitely think combat has an advantage against Turbo Cleave.
I agree.
Yeah,
and
I'm not sure how much he plays combat. I mean, you would know more than I would, I think, Adrian.
Yeah, I mean, he just likes to stick to the sub spec, like you said. But we've seen rogues like Thessia swapping between them. I agree that the combat spec does have an advantage in this matchup for sure. And Akai Suichi and these guys, they have met Turbo on the ladder a lot as sub. I even played with them when they do, and they do have an okay win rate against it. But this is a very strong Turbo Cleave that have. I mean, sure, they're playing a lot of games back to back. Maybe they're a bit tired, but they are also on a roll of momentum. And we do see Blizzo showing that with his early fear, shutting down Kenitra Tigers, the evasion coming up from Akisuichi. But at the same time, they do manage to get a good opener anyways, forcing out that Shamrage and the Cyclone onto Looney. If they can follow that up with anything, a nice pummel denies the sheep though. But the Sap lands instead. Akisuichi on the ball with that vanished Sap. Well played by him, and Jamie could just maybe dive through the Shamrage. We do see the bomb off that. A nice Cyclone from Chaz is going to deny any healing. If they can follow that up onto Looney, it looks like they can with that kidney shot. Can they get anything off that? And Jamie might just go down here. He's down to 10%. The DR deep freeze, the Vigilance comes out, but is it going to be enough? The Cyclone, he has to trinket that. He might just die anyways. The Rallying Cry is going to fall. He's down to 20%, but it looks like Jamie's going to narrowly get out of this one.
Yeah, he's still kind of low. Looney's struggling to try and pick him back up. In the meantime, they did get Stokanov's trinket, so maybe they could make an opportunity to swap to him again. And it seems like this aggressive strategy of going on Stokanov doesn't work so well with the Subtlety Rogue. The Subtlety Rogue's able to peel a lot more with his Shadow Dances, with the stuns on all 3 targets, so it seems a lot harder to stick. Maybe Speechless need to reconsider their strategy, hit the DPS instead. Suchi's just sitting in stealth, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. It seems like they are going to go on to Jamie. They follow up with a full clone. Everybody's crowd control. Shamanistic Rage is available. He does trade it out. Let's see if it's enough to survive. That was not the Shadow Dance for Suchi, so he's holding on to a lot of damage moving forward. They do follow up with a full Polymorph. They cloned Jamie as well. I guess they're waiting for the heal over time effects to fall off, and Kenitra Tigers have completely taken control of the game with CC. Jamie's in so much trouble right now. There really isn't anything available to save him. They follow it up with the kidney shot. A clean setup here. Jamie should go down, but the fear out from Blizzo in the nick of time might keep him alive just a little bit longer. They followed up though with a full blind, and Jamie is still alone. I don't think he's going to make it out. He trinkets out of the stun. He's trying to get as much healing as he can, but it's just not enough. And Kenitra Tigers juggled that CC, which felt like forever.
What a game from Kenitra Tigers there. They was actually so creative, their CC as well, like getting kidneys onto Looney, actually following up every single deep freeze with a Cyclone rather than a sheep. That their CC was immaculate that game. It was actually so good.
That was insane. It just never ended. I felt like Jamie just was on panic mode from start to finish of that game. And Kenitra Tigers, they did a phenomenal job, you know, making a CC chain work. They, you know, there were some scenarios where they got stopped. They had the deep freeze to follow it up. They forced the trinket without the blind, got the full blind. It just was a beautiful play from Kenitra Tigers. And Speechless, they got the work cut out for them in this this best of 5 series here.
Yeah, No Life even blocked that fair at the end to kind of DR deep on Looney. They just did anything they could just to follow up the CC chain every single time. It was so nice. But one thing that made me laugh a little bit was that just before the gates opened as well, you saw No Life go to about 10% HP. It was because he almost forgot his tournament gear, I think. Yeah. Imagine how different this game would have been if they just ran in and one-shot him. That would have been quite funny to watch. But fortunately, these guys have the experience to check for those things just before the gates open, and I just love that game coming out from Kenitra Tigers. That is the thing combat RMD can't necessarily provide, because the rogue just is just able to provide so much control, especially with that kidney on the Druid.
Oh, wow. Wow, Clem, that's cheating. You basically... Wow.
That was a free
is
win for
cheating.
them, Clutter.
That
Speechless
is
is never
cheating.
gonna.
That is cheating. Clutter told No Lifer they need to put gear on. You can't do that, man. He needs his own mom. He can't like rely on
Yeah,
Clutter to carry him.
it's part of the game to have your own mom. Okay, you can't be the mom for everyone, Clutter. But in all seriousness, Clutter does a fantastic job at adminning these matches and making sure that these players are good to go in every sense of the way, I should say. Oh man. It was good. It was a good catch by Clutter to make sure that they changed that tournament gear, because if Kenitra Tigers wasn't able to change that tournament gear, that would have been a much different game.
Yeah, when I saw him do that, I was thinking, that's really weird because I even played with those guys in a tournament recently, and the Skype isn't talking about those kinds of things at the start of the game. It's like
Yeah.
they're like, oh, trying to get pumped up, No Life are coming up with all kinds of interesting sounds that I'm not sure other humans can necessarily make as kind of a battle cry. So a good spot by Clutter to provide us with a far more entertaining game than we would have seen otherwise. Does put Kenitra Tigers 1-0 up in this series, and I was interested to see how the sub RMD does against the Turbo Cleave, and so far so good. They're looking very strong.
I mean, that game was like a minute and a half, and he was in a minute of CC. They literally juggled perfect CC, and I don't know if like they could have interrupted that a little bit better. I have a feeling that the setup before it, where they had to use Vigilance, Iron Bark, was the setup where they actually won the game, because without that Vigilance, Jamie just didn't have anything for so long, and Kenitra Tigers just seemed to be ungodly with the way that they rotated through their crowd control. And I think that Speechless are going to have to kind of figure out a different strategy. I don't think they can run at Stokanov the same way they were with the combat rogue version of this comp.
Yeah, and I don't think they need to either, because the reason they were doing that was to shut down the Cyclones from Minpoike, and it was working for them so well because it meant the combat RMD didn't quite have the damage to go through. But against this team, I feel like if they can just tunnel No Lifer, they can just shut down some of the damage. Sub RMD doesn't have the same amount of consistent damage, so if they can lock even the Frost School from No Lifer, it might just be enough to keep them alive despite the cross CC landing. Also, the fact that Chaz is going for the Cyclones off the deep freeze means if they could just stop that sheep after the Cyclones on Looney, then the CC's chain's just going to break up instantly. And I feel like just training No Lifer is the answer for Speechless Pubs. We're going to see what they go for. The game does open a nice Cyclone from Chaz, maybe not the most conventional opener, but it does set it up quite nicely for Jamie. He's put into that kidney shot. We see the Cyclone onto Looney. The team's being very creative with the CC, and that was a big DFA right through the Sham Rage. It looks like he might just go down through it. The guidance is pop. It doesn't matter when he's stunned. He can't do any damage. He's down to 20%. The Grode comes out into Looney. Are we going to see the smoke bomb? Do they have or anything to follow that up? I guess he's the due to the clones. They can't get any sheeps, and this is what I was talking about. If they can just shut down the sheeps from No Lifer to follow up these Cyclones, then maybe they can get the kill. But a nice low Cyclone onto Jamie might just be the game here. Can they follow up the kidney? A nice charge stun from Blizzo does shut down that sheep. They don't have the bomb available, and Jamie's going to be okay for now.
I think Jamie might have whiffed his trinket. He wanted to trinket to interrupt CC, but Blizzo ended up stopping it. So now Jamie is down his trinket, which could be very detrimental as Shadow Dance is coming up in about 14 more seconds. We can see Jamie trying to pull Suchi out of stealth, but Suchi with these hit and run tactics, he goes in, he gets all the cooldowns, he runs away, gets into stealth to get ready for another attack. Let's see if he can launch another one. It seems like they want to set up, but Blizzo goes for the Blade Storm preemptively. It does end up finishing though. A cheap shot onto everybody. Defreeze over onto Looney. No Lifer though can't follow it up. They're going to use the blind instead. Looney trinkets right away. It seems like they're actually swapping onto Blizzo. Kenitra Tigers are mixing it up, trying to catch them off guard, but I don't think Blizzo will go down. They catch Suchi into a full Stormbolt with no trinket, however. He's taking quite a bit of pressure here. He does, I believe, have a prep available for evasion, so he's going to be all right moving forward if he needs to do it. It seems like they're switching the pressure onto No Lifer, and I think the strategy from Speechless is going to work out a lot better for them. They do have the Shamanistic Rage to deal with the next setup. They should be feeling pretty comfortable here, and they are attacking Stoichkov as a result. They've got him caught into a full stun. He's going to trade out the Barkskin. Will that even be enough? They're just destroying Stoichkov. He's down to 25% HP. The double stun comes out. They're going to follow it up with a clone onto the Ironbark. They're actually going after Blizzo again. Blizzo's going to leap back defensively, almost actually not even defensively at all. He's just trying to get back onto Stoichkov. Blizzo doesn't care. He's just going right after the healer, and it seems to be working for right now. How much longer can he keep it up? Stoichkov into Exing range. It just gets chopped up by Blizzo, and the reckless plays from Speechless. As soon as they knew they were ahead with that Shamanistic Rage, they just put the gas pedal down to the ground and ran at Stoichkov.
And there you have it. It is a tied-up series now after Speechless takes the win on Ruins of Orderon. And I think they really did utilize that map to its fullest. Stoichkov not really having having many places to run and hide they're going to take the game number 2 on Ruins of Orderon. But that being said, we're going to be moving forward, and the Turbo is no longer going to have the map advantage. So far, I mean, at the same time, the RMD definitely did a pretty good job at peeling for their Druid earlier on in the game. But I really do think that map advantage definitely gave them the edge in that game.
Yeah, I kind of agree, and they certainly did get to connect to Chaz, but I think he was just a little greedy. I mean, he used his skin a little late. He was on about 40% when he did. He had his trinket available for the stun that dropped him low also, and they did a really good job of getting a counter go. They realized that Turbo had no trinkets available, and they did their stun, their Garrote, their Deep Sheep from low lifer, and Chaz casted the clone there, so they did get the CC out onto Speechless, but then he didn't really get the opportunity to top himself off. Maybe they were playing a little bit too offensively, but I just would have liked to see him maybe use his cooldowns a little bit higher HP. I feel like he could have survived there with that offensive push. Maybe he could have just kited away a little bit more, but his team was all rotting. The strategy from the Turbo Cleave does seem quite good if they can actually connect to Chaz, but they can get punished for it so easily by Kenitra Tigers.
I mean, we saw it in game 1, right? But you definitely saw the rotting pressure because they're able to connect to so many people, but they're not going to have that going into game number 3. They're not going to. I'm assuming this Rogue Mage Druid is probably going to bring the game to someplace much bigger. I'm anticipating probably Tolvaron Arena. If Ruins of Orderon gives them an advantage, then Tolvaron obviously would take that advantage away and then some, because it's a much larger map. But we're going to have to find out. You know what's something I really want to see, and I don't think it's actually available, but I'd love to see Mystic come out and compete. I mean, that might just be my inner rep paladin saying that, but I don't know. I definitely think the sub RMD, I mean this sub specifically, has been doing a great job combating Turbo. Like we said going into this series, combat should have a bigger advantage than sub in this scenario, but they're making it work, and they're making it work convincingly, especially in game number 1. So I definitely don't think that they're down and out if they continue to play sub RMD, but they are going to be bringing it to that Tolvaron Arena map choice, and I'm anticipating both teams sticking with the same composition, and it should be just as close, if not closer, of a game than Ruins of Orderon. But this is a best-of-5 series. This is the semifinals of that lower bracket. The winner of this series will move on to the finals to take on the Yacht Boys. And both these teams, neither one of them want to be eliminated. This is for all the marbles right here, right and now. And it's really important that Kenitra Tigers is able to win on their map choices. If they start losing on their map choices, surely Speechless is going to have the advantage moving forward.
I wish that I could draw little comic book speech bubbles above their heads, because I would have so much fun. Like Blizzo's at 20% HP, and I would just put above his head, Miko Healer. And he just immediately charges over. And then I would be like Stokanov. I'd be like, what is this warrior doing? Oh no, I'm dead!
Yeah, it has to get an execute range just for a split second for Blizzo to get that execute off. That's all it takes.
All right, the match has started. Kenitra Tigers are in stealth right now, moving towards the outside parts of the map. They want to make sure they get a clean start, I think. They've been able to salvage some openers despite getting popped out, so it seems like they're playing it patiently, though. And Blizzo is kind of that wild card. Sometimes he'll Blade Storm right away, sometimes he'll random Heroic Leap, sometimes he'll just sit on his chicken mount and do nothing. So Kenitra Tigers are trying to wait and see if Blizzo gives them anything, and it seems like Jamie was able to find them with the Spirit Wolves. So interesting, they are going to get combat. A full bash on a Stokanov by Looney out from stealth. This is not looking good for Kenitra Tigers. Already the Ascendance gets popped. He's caught in the half storm, but he could easily go down. He displaces away, pops the Heart of the Wild, connects a big heal to himself. He's going to stabilize. They're switching the pressure on a No Lifer, but in the midst of that, Kenitra Tigers have set up on the Jamie. They forced him to use his Shamanistic Rage. They're trying to cut through it. I don't think they'll be able to. He's fully hotted. Looney did a good job predicting that swap. Despite getting that far ahead, he's still maintaining his defense, but Jamie does get cloned up on that Ancestral Guide. It's a great clone from Stokanov.
Chaz is just on the ball with these cyclones. Every single game he's getting such nice ones, and then his team's always there to follow it up. The communication is great. A lovely kidney shot onto Looney does follow it up into the DR shape. Can he follow it up with the cyclone? It doesn't look like it, unfortunately, but the blind does come out instead. That's going to force the Trinket. If they can get the DR Cyclone or swap the Cyclone onto Jamie, they're going to be able to maintain this pressure. The cross CC from Kenitra Tigers is on point. A nice Stormbolt from Blizzard does shut down all those opportunities now. Now we see Sushi dropping down. He is in that bash, but he does have the Trinket available. It looks like he's going to hold on to it. Stoinkov making the call that he is okay right now. Both the whole team kind of stable. We do see that the Shamrage is coming back up for Jamie, so Speeches are kind of okay as well. They did force the Trinket out from Looney, but the thing about Kenitra Tigers is they can kill through cooldowns, and we do see they're actually swapping it perhaps over onto Blizzard. No, but it looks like Jamie is, again, the target of choice. He's not using his Shamrage. Greedy choice here by Jamie. He doesn't have that guidance available either. He's not going to be able to heal through this. This could be the game if they can just get the Cyclone, but again, an excellent set of stops. Jamie with the Windshield, Blizzard with the charge, just shutting down Chaz, and they're able to hold on to that Shamrage, and that's going to be very good for them going forward.
It seems like they're trying to pressure Stoinkov, and he's on the run. Suchi's pulling back with him as well. Surely he's going to dispel the flame shock. He does. Suchi's going to be looking for a re-stealth, and Jamie was greedy, but that's going to put them ahead. It's going to allow them to potentially push forward here. Seems like they're just chopping up No Lifer as he is the most forward player. They would like to get onto Stoinkov, but I think they're happy to just hit the mage as well. We see No Lifer setting up with a deep freeze. Doesn't look like he has Ring of Frost, so a great pre-shift by Looney is going to deny Kenitra Tigers their setup. And now Suchi actually getting bashed from stealth. This is looking terrible for the Kenitra Tigers. Blizzo leaps in on top of Stoinkov. He lands a full fear. Suchi's in trouble. So much damage! Just dies through the evasion. I believe Blizzo was able to get behind him and execute him despite having that evasion and finish him off.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's gotta feel good for Blizzo to get that kill on those pesky little rogues. And there you have it. Speechless is going to take a win on Kenitra Tigers' map choice and take the lead as well. 2-1 against Kenitra Tigers here. And now all of a sudden I feel like Kenitra Tigers is on the back foot. I mean, Speechless is just one win away from taking the series, and Tolvaron Arena is no longer in the map pool. That was so much damage onto that rogue. Was that actually Recklessness, or did he pop Recklessness after the rogue died just to show him that they still had that cooldown? I wasn't 100% sure. But Recklessness was popped there, doing a whole bunch of damage.
I didn't actually see either, but I was just like, when this happened, I was just thinking, because they tried this in another game as well. I think against Waz, I saw Blizzo pop 2 executes into Waz's evasion, because it's worth going for that play. Like if you do manage to land one, like obviously he's going to be spam turning around, trying to get one from behind, and if he lands one, they win the game. So, like, unfortunately for Akai Suichi, he wasn't able to avoid all those executes there at the end, but the game wasn't looking that great for them either. I mean, Kenitra Tigers did force out a bunch of cooldowns, but they were coming back and they'd failed a few setups, so all I could really think of towards the end of that game was going on what Super2 said. I actually found a YouTube video which I saw such a long time ago. It's not a complete representation of that game, but it's kind of what Super2 was talking about. It's a very nice video. I put it in chat.
I have to check this out. Wow, it's hard.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sure some of you will have seen this video. It's quite old, but it's beautiful in concept.
Oh, I've seen this video. I love that guy who made those videos. If you haven't already seen him, he makes like these comics. It kind of reminds me of that Carbot. I think it's Carbot, the cartoonist who did like the StarCraft stuff. He did WoW and Heroes. He does a whole bunch of awesome animation. But that's what it kind of reminds me of. It's that guy who makes those cartoons. It's actually hilarious. I highly recommend checking out that video. But it looks like the next map choice that's coming out from Kenitra Tigers is going to be Tiger's Peak. A super safe choice, not a huge map like Tolvaron Arena, but not really going to make a huge bit of difference. But Kenitra Tigers, they're going to have to win twice in a row if they want to take out Speechless here in game number. Well, they'd have to win this next game and the game after it if they want to continue on to the finals. So they have a long road ahead of them. Speechless, the Turbo's got to be feeling relatively good. I mean, we've seen upsets before. They got to stay on their ball. They got to stay focused here, because Kenitra Tigers, they've shown time and time again that they are able to cash in on your mistakes if you start getting a little bit sloppy. So hopefully Speechless isn't getting cocky or anything like that. They are still focused, because they're definitely going to need to stay focused against Kenitra Tigers. But still, I definitely think that there was opportunity for Kenitra Tigers to find setups and to get maybe more efficient trades, obviously. But I don't know. I just feel like they're so known for finding those like small itty bitty windows of opportunity and just like really nailing it. And I don't think we saw that in the last game at all.
Yeah, I really don't want to jinx Kenitra Tigers, but this is the second series in a row where game one, they've looked amazing. They've literally looked unstoppable. They've been all over the place with CC. We saw this against the Yacht Boys as well, and they just stomped game one, and we're like, wow, there's no way they can lose. But then in game two and game three, it looks like the other team kind of has the number. Maybe on European ladders, it's not so usual to see the sub RMD, so maybe teams, the first game, it catches them off guard a little bit. I mean, I'm sure they faced them before, but not so much. And after a little while, they do adapt, and they make that adaptation quite quickly by the looks of things. Kenitra Tigers, now it's their turn to adapt. They do face elimination from the entire tournament should they lose this game. Game 4 against the Yacht Boys, on the other hand, was quite good. It's just unfortunate they weren't quite able to survive a little bit longer because they were looking quite promising offensively. And Kenitra Tigers with the sub RMD, they are able to CC through the cooldowns from the Turbo Cleave. We've seen them going through Sham Rages and cooldowns like this because of the Cyclones coming up for Chaz. And this is quite a weird opener from the RMD, actually opting to try build up those Frostbots, but now we do see them going in. Are they going to be able to land the CC onto Looney? They do land the Cyclone out of that deep freeze, well played by them. That's going to be answered by the Sham Rage. Of course, no opportunity to get that Iron Bark up from Looney because of the deep freeze before he could come out of stealth. And the cross CC onto Jamie, the nice Cyclone, if they can follow that up, they could actually maybe go for a kill here, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to. A nice Displacer Beast from Looney does avoid CC for now.
Yeah, no life for getting pressured here. It could be the game. He's choosing to block 5% HP away from getting executed. They're switching the pressure onto Stokanov. He's reacting pretty well here with the Heart of the Wild and SC himself back to Folia, be able to get back to the pillar. A full stun onto Suchi, and Speechless are all over the place with their damage, just hitting every target, really trying to keep Stokanov on his toes. But you can see, though, he has finally recovered. Here comes the Shadow Dance. We see a preemptive Iron Bark out from Looney. A great play. Actually, this could have been the game if he didn't get this Iron Bark up, and they don't actually follow up the CC onto Looney, so Looney doing a great job. Actually, get the sap on his Shadow Meld. It was a really sick sap from Suchi here, and now Jamie's in so much trouble. Will he have to trinket the sap? I mean, there has to be a full blind ready and lined up for it. I think Blizzo was trying to intervene the blind. He didn't manage to get it. Looney's forced to trinket, but now they can bring the aggression forward. A full stun onto Stokanov. He sees it coming. He trinkets right away. He's not going to be greedy whatsoever in this game. It's their last chance.
Yeah, that really shows the level of play as well in these teams. He melds, he gets sapped on it, and then Blizzo tries to intervene him off the sap. Another great play from Blizzo, and then Akasuichi's alert to it. He takes the intervene off and then blinds him. Like, so many really high-level plays happened at that moment, and it's just happened so quickly. You can't really see it. No life for dropping so low. The Iron Bark might be enough to keep him alive. The NS certainly will be up to 100% HP. Kenitra Tiger's looking good right now as we do see the Stomp onto Chaz. They're going to swap it onto him a bit. He shouldn't have to bark skin this. I think he can just kind of kite away. He does do that, but if unfortunately the bash onto Jamie isn't able to be followed up by any CC. The Iron Bark they do get from Looney though. That's a nice cooldown for them to force out, but it just looks good for Speechless. I mean, they have used the trinket, but it's in exchange for the blind. That's a pretty reasonable trade, and they're just able to play so offensive. They still have a lot of defensive cooldowns. Maybe Kenitra Tigers could go for a kind of reawakened strategy of swapping onto Looney a little bit, making him a little bit more scared. But right now, Akasuichi's just in so much trouble. Gets caught into that full bash. He trinkets out. He could die. The charge stun. He's going to go down. That's going to end the series. The charge stun putting him into execute range. Well played by Blizzo, seeing that opportunity. And that's a 3-1 victory for Speechless.
There you have it. They have made it. They have gone through the entire lower bracket, and they will be entering the finals to take on the Yacht Boys. But a convincing game, a convincing series, I should say, from Speechless. They got to be feeling pretty confident after that, taking a 3-1 victory against Kenitra Tigers, going up against the Yacht Boys, who I'm anticipating to play RMD as well. I mean, they've showed us 2 compositions so far, Shadow Priest Frost Mage and Rogue Mage. And if they're going to be going up against a Turbo, I would be anticipating an RMD. So taking out Kenitra Tigers, one of the strongest RMDs in the tournament. They are going to feel confident going into the finals, but it's anyone's game still. It's anyone's game, absolutely.
I'm excited to see. I mean, the Yacht Boys made it to the finals last week. They made it to the finals this week. I think they're looking to try and take the crown, and I'm interested to see if Speechless are able to deal with it. Whereas the Yacht Boys, I think, can play the combat specialization as well from Thasia.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to give them a much better advantage in this